Well, good afternoon, and thank you for coming out. The Assembly Republicans wanted to do a press conference today and just kind of lay out a plan that we have to try to help Governor Evers navigate with what's happening with the unemployment issue that we're having in the state of Wisconsin. I know we call the pandemic a crisis, but right now I think unemployment has surpassed that, and it is more of a crisis. In fact, I was on the phone this morning with constituents. One gentleman has not gotten unemployment in 17 weeks. Our office has helped him get in touch with the Department of Workforce Development 4 times, and they have still not come to terms and finished and completed his case. So he is now borrowing from friends and family. He's got a loan out on a secondary mortgage out on his house, and is now trying to figure out, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to pay my bills? He's in total crisis mode on this. How did we get here? When we did the state shutdown and unemployment rose, the unemployment system, there was not a plan in place to prepare for the additional cases that we were going to have. In the beginning, there was not an extension of the hours for the unemployment office, weekends, none of that was happening. Republicans passed legislation early on that in the legislature that Governor Evers signed into law that allowed to move and the shifting of employees to help with the claims at DWD. So where has that left us? We have 140,000 unemployment claims. Those are individual claims that equal 500,000 weeks of unemployment that are in the process of review and sitting there waiting to be agitated. What does that mean? People are not getting paid. They are not getting paid. In addition to that, 90% of the PPU loans, which are for the small self-employment loans, only 10% have been paid. 90% are sitting there. So what is our idea to help Governor Evers navigate this? What we are suggesting is that Governor Evers takes $40 million of the CARES funding from the federal government. There's $280 million that remains unspent. Take 40 million of that and do a small loan for the people that are waiting to have their claims addressed. Give them a loan. They can be paid back when they receive their unemployment, or if they are denied, it would then be in the form of a grant. Something around those terms where they can pay their bills and make ends meet. I've had mothers calling me, single moms, saying, I don't know where the baby's formula is coming from. I don't know where food is coming from. Wisconsin is the 3rd worst in the nation on settling these unemployment claims, and beating the worst in the Midwest. And that's unacceptable for the state of Wisconsin, and that's not something that we're proud of. I know that a lot of things that are happening is people are like, well, this is a pandemic and this was all very surprising. It was, and it is. Having said that, this is now going on for 3 months. It is just now, we got a press release from the Department of Workforce Development saying that they're going to extend the hours at DWD, and that we are going to now maybe have Saturday mornings where people can call in. That should have been up and running with a plan on day 1, and we are begging Governor Evers to address this. This is hurting our constituents in the state of Wisconsin. It is not acceptable for the state of Wisconsin. We deserve and demand better. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Representative Snyder. I know he has some stories for this.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you for coming out today. My staff, Justine, she keeps track weekly for me of our unemployment claims. And as of Monday, we had 61 claims to our office, just in the 85th Assembly District. Out of that, only 22 cases were resolved. 1 was denied, 34 are still under review. When they say, as Mary said, under review, we're talking excess of anywhere from 10 to 17 weeks. And we also have 4 that are under adjudication. I had one caller tell me that the adjudicators were doing this by hand. That's one reason why things were going a little slower. As Mary said, we met with both the governor as well as Secretary Frostman earlier in May, telling them about ideas about extending the hours, about making it 7 days a week, putting on 2 shifts. Let's get this down to manageable. And again, they took that information, but now as the press conference is coming out, DWD did announce that they're going to try to extend some hours. We think this is a good bridge for the folks that have been waiting. I've had the PUAs that are just 10% right now. That's been one of the self-employed people. They've been going on. When they're self-employed, that means that their businesses are in definite harm and might never come back. So these are the things we need to address. And they had multiple weeks. I've had folks that have been waiting on this for something like 16 to 18 weeks. And a lot of times they don't get called back. Even if they get online and apply for this, if there could just be, hey, we received your information, we're reviewing it, we'll get back to you. But they haven't even gotten that kind of response. I've had people in the 85th district say they've been on the queue for multiple hours, and then suddenly they get disconnected, hung up on. It's very frustrating. And as Mary said, these are people that are barely surviving. These are people that have rent coming due in July that were talking to us this last June. They had bills coming up. Before they were kind of getting a few exceptions because of the pandemic. The landlords and things were giving them some extra time. But now it's July. And in some cases they hear from like social services, there's not really an emergency now, so some of the benefits are cut back. Well, if that's the case, then why is things so backed up? So what this plan is, and again, it's a plan and suggestion for the governor and Secretary Frostman to look at to try to bridge this, to give folks $1,300 a month in the process of them getting their unemployment review. Because we have to make sure we take care of these individuals. And some of the stories we hear are just so heartbreaking, and as Mary said, especially with families that have kids. And some are back to work a little bit, but that doesn't mean that their whole savings. I had one young woman who was a salon hairstylist, and she was saving money up to get her own business. And suddenly she had to go through all the savings for that just to survive, and now she has to start from ground zero. So, these are individuals that we need to really, this is why the unemployment insurance is there. And there's ways of doing this. Other states, as Mary have said, have done this with similar equipment that we have and still are able to address these issues. And until we do that, we have to do a much better job of getting this done. On a side note, you get into Quick Trip and you're doing the line, and if you notice, if there's one person up front, they'll get in their mic and they'll say, I see three. So when they see three people in line, people come up to the front to ease that line. We need to have that same type of mindset when it comes to our government and things of that nature to be able to address these needs.
Be happy to answer the questions that you have.
What happens next? You submitted it and the governor will read it then? Is that what happens?
So hopefully Governor Evers will see the urgency in this and see that that this is a workable model. Other states have looked at it. So under the CARES Act, this money can be used for temporary loan assistance until the unemployment benefits are paid. The average unemployment benefit in the state of Wisconsin is $327 a week. So this would automatically give that amount to an applicant until his claim has been settled.
And have you heard anything from DWD why this is taking so long? Is it a staffing issue? Is it a money issue? Do you know?
So our caucus was on a phone call with Secretary Frostman and the governor. The governor talked briefly about some of the things that they're doing, and then Secretary Frostman was on there. And there was no urgency by the secretary to solve this issue. And they said, well, we did extend our calls for an hour and a half, but as far as like weekends and evenings and bringing in people and call centers, or even it was suggested, like, let's look at the process. And if there are like minute hurdles in there, or things that could be streamlined, let's take a look at that. And we never heard the urgency from him that it needed to be done. Sadly to say, I think that the administration and the secretary think that they're doing a good job. But if you've never been in that position where money is not coming in, and through no fault of their own, these are not lazy people. These are people where their ability to go to work was taken away from them by the government. And now government needs to step up and fix it.
And I will say too that back when we were talking earlier with Secretary Frostman and the governor, the hours were 7:30 to 3:30.
Right.
And so when the initial flood came in, they were just doing 7:30 to 3:30, and when 3:30 came, they cut it off. Well, then they decided, oh, we'll extend it till 5, and anyone in the queue at 5 will be answered. Well, really, the whole situation needed to come down to, it needs to be 7 days a week, and it needs to have 2 shifts or whatever it takes to get this cases down to all the cases taken care of.
One of the other things I want to add to that too is DWD probably is not the place where this should be processed. They are, as we can tell, very backlogged. So there are other avenues. They can work with other agencies. I'll give an example is when we, in 2018, when we had the child tax credit, that was handled by the Department of Revenue. They had that up and running, and the program was up and running and effective in 4 weeks. So other agencies have knowledge on how to do this and could also assist in getting it going. So I do feel this is a win. It's temporary. It would help people. It would just be that little bridge of putting food on the table until these claims are all settled. Because they've told us now that the claims could go out, a lot of these won't be settled until October.
And for the lucky folks that do have employment again, they maybe aren't to the levels they were. Now that they're working, the kids have to have some kind of child care, so those costs are jumped in there as well. So this is why we need to move forward on this.
Any other questions?
Anything we missed or anything you wanted to add?
No, I think that's about it. And we're asking the governor to step up and help. This isn't politics. This is please help our constituents. They need it. And this has gone on long enough. And if there's things that he needs us to do as a legislature, if we need to come in and pass any relaxation or regulations for whatever it's going to take, we're willing to do that. We need this to get fixed.
Yeah, and I will just emphasize the same thing that Mary said. We're not finger pointing, what was done in the past, that's the past. We're working right now and how we can solve this now and moving forward. So that's why we put out this plan that maybe the governor can consider.
And I would also say this, just as a final wrap up. So this is an idea that we've put forward. Hopefully Governor Evers and his administration, his agencies will take a look at this. But please, constituents of northern Wisconsin, the entire viewing area, please follow up with the governor on this. Ask him to take a look at it. Let's get this done, because we can do it.